Greetings and salutations, travelers of the internet, and welcome to the Lit Round Table. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Anna. We'll be your wise or not so wise mentors for today's audio adventure into all things storytelling. Hello, hello.
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
Here we are,
Yes.
of Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So today we are going to be talking about Turning Red, which is the new Disney Pixar movie. Is it Pixar?
Yeah.
I think it's Pixar. It seems Pixar-y.
It's Disney Pixar, yeah. I think so. Sure.
I'm pretty sure. It's available on Disney Plus. So,
Right.
yeah, we thought that would be a good movie to talk about since it just came out, and there's been a little bit of controversy around it, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Before we jump into it, Joseph, tell me what you're reading, watching, playing. Tell me all the things.
Well, there's a lot this time. So for watching, so I'll do my live action things first. Okay, so yeah, Critical Role. It's been super fun, loving it. They finally got out of the big city, and that's been nice. Breath of fresh air, new environments, new terrain. It's been great.
New environments, new traumas unearthed. But
Yes,
spoilers.
yes, exhumed. One would say.
Oh, the word choice. We love it.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's Critical Role, and there was also a new season of The Last Kingdom, which I'm still chewing through. I think I'm close to the end of that, if I'm not practically there already. And also, Vikings has a sequel now. And I didn't know that I didn't even know that was in the works. But I started watching that, and I watched that whole first season, and that's been really good. That's been cool.
Did you watch all of the original Vikings show? 'Cause I feel like I fell
not the
off
very
around
end.
like season 3.
Yeah, there's some stuff at the end that I have not seen, but still good. What I saw was really good. But I saw a new one, and it takes place a little later, so that's cool. So, yeah. So now we get into the anime. So slash animated. So Attack on Titan. We watched the second to last episode of the final season, and this Sunday will be the last episode of the final season, and that's probably when they're going to announce that there's going to be a movie, because according to my lovely wife Hope, who has read the whole manga series, or at least the ending, there's no way that they are going to cover all the ground they need to cover. So,
Oh yeah, because there's like 3 or 4 more volumes left. So
yeah. So there's 100% going to be a movie. Or, yeah, something. There's going to be something. But anyway, so we're not going to get the wrap up to that story on Sunday, unfortunately. But I've still been really enjoying every episode. Also, watching on Netflix, there's this cute little slice of life anime called Komi Can't Communicate. And I've seen a couple episodes by myself, and I watched an episode with Hope. And it's super, super cute.
okay, that one's on my list. So you're saying I should move that one up on my list?
Sure, yeah. If you want to just feel warm and fuzzy.
I do.
Yeah, that's a good one. Also, The Devil's a Part-Timer. I think we talked about that one before on the podcast. Kind of forgot about it, and then watched another episode the other day because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I was watching that show. Yeah, and let's see what's left. Oh, and we are watching Assassination Classroom. You, Hope, and I are, which I have seen, but it's been really fun rewatching. It's been super fun. Love that one.
And
Love it a lot.
we're past the episodes that I've seen now. So
That's all new for you both.
yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing was Turning Red, which we're going to talk about a little later. Yeah. So for reading, we are reading Light of the Midnight Stars by Rena Rossner for our read along series, and that's been great so far. I have also been listening to slash reading The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and that has been really interesting. I knew I was going to like it just because I really liked the Mistborn, the Arrow one of the Mistborn trilogy, which he also wrote, so I knew I was going to like it. But yeah, I like it. It's really good.
One of
Um,
my like favorite moments from the trip, because listener, I just got back from visiting Joseph and Hope in Texas, which was great.
mhm.
But one of the nights you just got like really excited about The Way of Kings and were telling me all the stuff about it, and that was really cool to see you like super jazzed about a book you're reading.
The world building
I
has been
mean,
really good.
yeah, I mean that's what we do here, but it's
Hmm.
different when you're like sitting on the couch late at night and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to tell you about this thing that just happened in the book. So
So that's been fun. Also, so now, oh, also, for my birthday, you got me the Mighty Nine Origins comics. Well, two of them. I think it's the only two that's out for the Mighty Nine so far. But
yeah,
I read the Jester one, and that was super fun, super cute. And
yeah,
I have not read the Caleb one yet, but I'm going to. Um,
same.
I started reading The Promise Neverland, which is a manga series, which took quite a turn that I
Oh,
wasn't expecting it to.
in the
Whoa.
first volume.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you kind of get glimpses or like hintings, and then you see some stuff, and you're like, oh, okay. That's the direction we're going with this. But no, it's very good so far. Very gripping uh, story. And I finished Demon Slayer, the manga series, and got pretty emotional over that one because that's like my one of my favorite anime slash manga franchises. And finished
yeah.
the manga series. It's like when you get to the end of a book series that you love, and you're just like you've got the post ending blues, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's very very good, and I'm really excited to see it animated someday. So yeah, that's pretty much it for reading and for playing. We've still been playing the One Ring RPG. That's been really fun. And I started playing Bloodborne again, which I don't think you know what that is, right?
I don't.
So, have you heard about Elden Ring?
Yes.
Okay, so that game just came out. It's created by the same uh, like franchise. It's in the same vein as uh, Dark Souls, those like that series of games. So it's a
Okay.
very difficult game where the enemies are very, very deadly, and it's really easy to lose progress. But I've been watching everyone play Elden Ring on TikTok and YouTube, and I've kind of had some FOMO. And
Mm,
so I was like, you know what? I don't want to get Elden Ring because I want to wait until I have a PS5 because I think it'll run better.
mm,
So I will stick with the game that I already have that I stopped playing, which is Bloodborne. And it's like critically acclaimed. Everyone loves Bloodborne, so I started it and I've beat the first boss today, which I am proud of myself for beating a Soulsborne boss. Um, so yeah, because they're notoriously difficult. Granted, it was only the first boss, like
nice.
small potatoes, but still, I'm proud of myself. So
You should be. I'm proud of you.
thank you,
I know
appreciate it.
nothing about the game, but I'm proud of you.
That's fair. That's fair. Game Grumps has a playthrough. You should watch it sometime.
Oh, do they?
It's pretty hilarious. Yeah. So, yeah, that's been really fun actually. The gameplay is uh it's like it's difficult and very mechanical and you have to be really tactical, but it's very rewarding when you finally beat the boss you've been trying to beat, and yeah, it's very rewarding. So, with
Nice.
that being said, that's it for me. Now
Cool.
it's your turn. What you got?
Thanks. Well, I am still reading through Little House on the Prairie. We're almost done. We've only got 4 chapters left, so that's really exciting. And then on my drive, sorry, let me heavy sigh. on my long drive down to Texas and back. I listened to a couple of contemporary romances by Olivia Dade, who I mentioned before in a previous episode because she wrote Spoiler Alert. But she also wrote Teach Me and 40 Love, which those were the two that I listened to completely there and back. And now I'm working on Sweetest in the Gale. So Teach Me is about a couple of history teachers at a high school. 40 Love is about the principal at that same high school, but she's on vacation in Florida.
Must be nice.
Then yeah. And then Sweetest in the Gale is about two English teachers. So it's been kind of fun, making me kind of miss being in academia, but that's okay.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that works? Like when you're in school, you hate it so much, and then you get older and you're like, I kind of missed like the structure and knowing like what my day is going to be like, and having like a bunch of mentor figures that you can ask questions to. Like, yeah, right. I do miss that a lot actually.
Yeah, and just like having the space to be a sponge to like soak up new ideas and concepts and information. Yeah. But the thing that I really like about Olivia Dade is that she does all of her protagonists are plus size. And she does it very well. So
nice.
Advocate for that.
Representation.
Yes. It's a big deal. And it's hard to find sometimes. We're going to talk more about representation a little bit. But
yeah.
And then I'm also reading The Light of the Midnight Stars by Rena Rossner as our read-along, like Josef mentioned. And sorry, I don't know why I switched to talking to the listener, not to you right there.
You're fine. Anyway, don't worry about
it. and then while I was in Texas, I borrowed Hope's copy of Witch Hat Atelier. I don't know how to say that word. I've never actually seen it written before.
Me neither.
I don't know it. I need to look it up to see what it means. But anyway, it's a manga, and it's like the art style is so charming and just like really pretty. And it's about like this girl that has to go to witch school because she accidentally cast a spell. And that's not allowed. So,
oops.
I only read the first 2 chapters and I'm like itching to read more. So I may or may not have ordered the first 2 volumes for myself.
There you go.
So that I could continue reading that.
Nice.
Yeah. And then for watching, I too am watching Critical Role Campaign 3, and still working through Campaign 2, although I'm going slowly through that because there's no rush, because there's not new episodes to catch. So, and that's been fun, but I also, since I was with you, didn't have like a ton of, the last couple weeks have been really busy, so I haven't had a ton of like extended time to sit down and watch something. So Assassination Classroom, Attack on Titan, and Turning Red. That's all I've watched that I can remember.
Nice.
Because I was watching Studio Ghibli movies for the last episode.
Right.
But I'm not watching any right now. So, and then for playing the One Ring RPG. So, and that's all I've got. But yeah.
Nice.
I do want to talk about my Texas trip just a little bit because you took me to some like really cool spots.
Yeah.
And I just want to gush about them a little bit.
Sure.
We went to Conveyor Belt Sushi, which was...
That was so fun.
So fun. If you, dear listener, are ever in a place where you can get Conveyor Belt Sushi, do it. Like, it was like quite the experience. And really tasty. Not that all sushi is created equal, but I feel like if they're doing Conveyor Belt Sushi, like, they know what's up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best sushi in the world, but No, it's very good. It's very good.
But it's fast
And
and it's tasty.
yeah, you get the atmosphere. It felt very Japanese. It was very Japan like, and I was
Yes.
all over it. A little robot delivers your drinks for you.
So cute.
Yeah.
And it was part of like a bigger Japanese market, or like in the same strip mall as a Japanese market that was really cool.
Yeah.
And that was really fun to experience. And then we also, you weren't there for this part, but Hope took me to Madness in Dallas, which is like a big, like super nerdy store.
Games, comics,
Collectibles.
pop figures, dice.
They have a huge, not huge, but like pretty big considering, collection of vintage Star Wars action figures. And it pains me just a little bit to say vintage because I remember when some of them came out.
You remember
And
seeing
that's
those packagings,
a little
like those
painful.
packages. You remember seeing the packaging on the shelf in like the toy
Yes.
section of Walmart, and
And I remember
KB
like
toys.
going through them. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
KB toys.
Yeah,
Oh, those were the days,
Yep.
man.
nostalgia.
So much nostalgia. Speaking of, so in addition to the comic books I gave you, I found like this really goofy action figure set. And gave to you for your birthday. Why are you looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about?
Never mind.
Okay.
No, we're good. I was like, huh? And then I remembered.
I swear I gave it to you. Not spoiling your birthday present. But it was a Jar Jar Binks and Sebulba and like Anakin set on Tatooine, which also I didn't even think about how ironic it is that I gave you a toy set on Tatooine when you've got like the biggest bone to pick with Tatooine right now. But anyway,
You did. You got me a Tatooine toy.
I'm sorry, but it was too cool. I couldn't pass it up.
How dare you?
I was like, it was perfect. So
No, it's really cool. It's really fun.
yeah. So anyway, it was a great trip. It was great to see you and see some like
Super
the
fun.
cool nerdy stops.
Yep. Bought a
Hope
lot
and
of
I also
manga.
went. Yes, you guys bought more manga than I did. I only brought back 2 manga volumes.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of other little figures that are very cute and spent a lot of money on little toys.
You know what? Whatever gets that dopamine flowing,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
we're all just little dopamine junkies. So, you know.
I did get at IKEA, I got a couple more shelf inserts for my bookshelf. So I've rearranged things so that my Star Wars books are what I call my Star Wars tower now. Because they're all like on this little narrow shelf in a stack. I don't know if it's actually more space efficient than what I had before, but I like the way it looks, so we're just going with it.
There you go. Very good.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about Turning Red.
Turning Red.
Yeah.
So I
I
watched
watched
it.
this. So sorry.
Oh,
You go ahead.
I watched it last night. So
Okay.
it's very fresh in my mind.
Wonderful.
But
I watched it on Sunday with Hope. So it
couple
is
days.
still fresh, but not quite as fresh.
so yeah, what is your just brief gut reaction? Like, what were your immediate thoughts after first seeing the movie?
My immediate thought was, I wish this movie had existed when I was a kid. Also, just a general disclaimer here at the top. This is going to contain spoilers. So if you have not seen Turning Red, and you don't want it to be spoiled for yourself, you should stop here, go watch it, and then come back.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there be spoilers.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I wish that this movie had existed when I was a kid. I think that the theme of man, how do I want to word this? The theme of like putting pressure on yourself to be perfect because you think that's what the adults around you want from you, whether or not that's true or not, is like very real. And I'm glad that this movie exists so that kids can see this kind of conflict in a story.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that we got to see. I mean, you see this in other movies too, but I feel like it was really there was a spotlight on this in this movie, which I think is also part of the reason why it's been a bit controversial, and that is because the parents are not perfect, and
Yeah.
the parents make some bad calls that it's obvious anytime you're watching it, like, ooh, like you don't have to be a parent or a parenting expert to know, like if you were in that kid's shoes, you would have wanted to crawl in a hole and die because of some of the things
Oh,
that happened.
seriously.
That were just way over the line, as far as like healthy parent child boundaries, and like what a proper reaction would have been. It was so far from that, but we can get a little more into the weeds in that in a second. But I thought that it was honestly a little refreshing that we got to see parents that weren't perfect and parents that were willing to admit that they weren't perfect and apologize for it.
Yes.
Because that is something that you don't see a lot. Um, like again, it does happen in other movies. Like the only thing I can think of right now is like Little Mermaid, like Triton not letting Ariel be
Yes.
with Eric and at first and being like super not okay with it. But at the same time, looking back on it, I'm like, Ariel, you're 16.
Right. No, King Triton was definitely right in that movie. The
No, he
mom
was.
is not right in this
Yeah.
movie.
In Turning Red.
Yes.
There's so now we're gonna get into the spoilers, right?
Yes.
So just brief little synopsis. It's about an Asian family living in Toronto, Canada. They have a temple where it's kind of a tourist thing where they have people that can come in and look at like the shrine to their ancestors and all this stuff. Cool, lots of cool like cultural diversity being shown. I don't I don't know when the last time was that we had a movie. I mean, we had uh, Raya, the dragon one, and like,
But
but
it's
before then,
fictional. Like that takes.
right. I'm
I
just
mean, it's
thinking
all
of
fictional, but I mean, like it's fantasy, is what I meant.
no, I know what you mean. I'm just thinking of like as far as movies that really portray like Asian culture. There's not a huge amount of Disney
Well,
movies,
that's not necessary. I mean, Moana is technically an East Asian culture.
and that's one that a lot of people don't know about, uh, like Pacific Islander uh, culture at all, which is
Right? Is
really
that
cool.
technically East Asian? I may have gotten that messed up.
Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. We are not experts on the subject, but
No.
I'm just saying the more like cool cultural diversity that we get to see in the movies, I think the better.
Right. No, totally. And this is unique in that we don't see a lot of cultural diversity in things that are set in modern-ish times. I think this is set in like 2002 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But the main character is Asian. I would guess Chinese based on the temple, right?
yeah. That was my interpretation, or that's what I believe. I think that they were Chinese.
Yeah. And she has a friend who's South Korean, who's adorable. And
Yeah,
Miriam, who is coded Jewish, though they don't come out and say it, but she's got like the curly hair and her name is Miriam.
right. Yeah.
And then Priya is Indian.
I'm not gonna lie,
Which is
Priya was my favorite. She was my favorite
she
character.
she was awesome. I also really enjoyed her. All of May's friends were top notch. Like, what a great group of besties. Like, happy for her.
A group that anybody wishes that they could have in school, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, so it's you're going along through the plot. May is in a family where she puts a lot of pressure on herself. She's constantly seeking her parents, mostly her mother's approval. She is constantly having to talk her way out of like events with friends so that she can go home and help clean at the temple and all this stuff. She's just like really doesn't really have much of a social life because of
Right.
family stuff.
Which, like, that is partially imposed upon her by her mother, but I feel like a lot of it is self-imposed too. Like,
Correct.
she's also like straight A student. She puts a lot of pressure on herself to be as perfect as she can be, and yeah, and part of that is making sure that she's home in time to help with the temple stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of, it feels like another one of those movies where the real antagonist of the movie is lack of communication.
Oh, for sure.
If there was really really good and healthy communication happening, a lot of this would have been avoided. But
You know
not
what?
every
That's
family.
real, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say not every family has that.
Right. And, you know,
so
that's
it
kind
is.
of on
It
a
feels very
spectrum,
real.
too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in some instances, like, the mom, like, felt like she knew her daughter perfectly. But we find out very quickly that, like, the daughter has been putting on a kind of, like, front for her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she loves this band. I can't remember what it's called now. Four Town?
Yes.
It's like, it's a boy band. It's like NSYNC meets One Direction,
Backstreet Boys. Like,
Backstreet Boys, like that kind of thing. And she loves them. Like, she knows all their music. But her mom doesn't approve of that kind of music, so she pretends like she doesn't know what they are, and she wants to go to this concert just because Miriam wants to go, which her mom is not a fan of.
Yeah.
And her mom doesn't even seem to realize that Miriam is such a good friend of hers, because she's like, oh, that Miriam girl is weird. It's like, oh, you're talking about your kid's best friend. Like, don't call your kids' friends weird.
Yeah.
That's not helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is also established pretty early on, like kind of when you get into, like, it's a Disney movie, there's gonna be like a magical element too. The family, like the shrine for their ancestors, like the chief ancestor that they like pray to. I forget the name.
Is it Sun Li?
Something. Yeah. Yes. I believe that sounds right. And she really really loved red pandas, and that was like, it's kind of like their guardian spirits are like red pandas, which is cool because like red pandas are adorable. If you don't know what a red panda is, do yourself a favor and look it up.
They're
YouTube
very
it.
cute.
They're so cute.
But they can be really fierce. Like
Yeah,
any
they can be
animal.
pretty vicious. Yeah, they can be vicious, but because they're pandas are bears. I mean, red pandas are really small, but anyway, we start to see some really. This is when we start to see the stuff with the mom, where you're like, ooh, that's a
Yeah.
bad take. That's a bad reaction to that. You just take a step
Oh
back
my
and
gosh.
breathe, lady.
The whole time
She
I was like, no,
finds,
mom, no, mom, no, mom, no, no, no. Just stop.
like, there's a couple things. Just briefly,
Oh,
we're not gonna go like point by point through the entire plot of the movie, but
no.
some
But we have to
things,
do the first one.
yeah, some things happen that are just like, whoa. One of them is they see like a boy working at the universe's equivalent of 7-Eleven. I don't know where, and they're like oogling over the cashier boy, Devin. Oh, he's so cool. He's so cute. All this stuff, and May goes home. She's doing her homework like a good student would, perfect student, and she starts doodling uh, a cute boy in her notebook. She's like, "Oh, I'm totally drawing Devin. Oops, I didn't really like him, but oh, actually, no, he is kind of cute. And then she keeps drawing more and more things, more like fantasy drawings of her and Devin holding hands and kissing, and she like draws him as a like a buff mermaid and like things that you would expect to find in the doodle notebook of a 13-year-old girl, you know.
Right. Well,
Eh,
so this is one of the things that is controversial in the movie, apparently. There are some people that think that it's unrealistic for a 13-year-old to be drawing that kind of thing, and like no 13-year-old would engage in like that kind of fan fiction, is what they're equating it to.
oh,
Which,
please,
right. I
please.
would just like to say that this is very realistic. You talk to any 13-year-old girl just about, and they'll be like, well, yeah, maybe I have notebooks of like dumb things I've written or dumb drawings that I'm really embarrassed about that I would never want anybody to ever see. Because it's part of like
Judging,
puberty.
yeah, growing up, your hormones are raging.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeling things you don't know why you're feeling them,
Mm-hmm.
and you need some kind of outlet for that. And short of like actually like pursuing a relationship with the boy, which is mortifying at that age.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's 17, wouldn't have worked. No.
No.
Um, but yeah, this and also there's that like he was 17, like it's clearly just like a 13-year-old's fantasy, like nothing
Yeah.
is actually there. He doesn't even know that she exists, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And mom comes in, she panics, May panics, tries to hide the notebook, doesn't quite get it done. Mom finds the notebook while she's in the room and flips through it and freaks out over these drawings that are in the book because her little girl would never do anything like that, would never have any kind of drawings like that. Who is this boy? Where is he from? Oh, he's taken advantage of you. And she basically pins this is one of the things that the mom keeps doing. She assumes that her child is not at fault and
Mm-hmm.
instantly pins all the blame on something onto someone else. Her kid is perfect. It can't be her kid. Her kid, there's nothing wrong with her kid. Unthinkable. And
Mm-hmm.
also making drawings like that isn't wrong in the first place.
No, I
But
was going to say, like, she was not at fault for any of this.
but
But,
yeah.
yeah.
And the mom literally takes her and drives her down to the 7-Eleven where this Devon kid is working and parades her in there with the drawings in hand and slams them down on the counter and just goes to town on this kid. Like, what are you doing
Mm-hmm.
with my daughter? That's so inappropriate. How could you corrupt my innocent little girl? Um, I want to speak to your manager. You've just lost a customer today. And there's like all these other school kids around watching this happen, and it is mortifying.
The secondhand cringe from that
Ugh,
scene, I almost couldn't bear. I
ugh.
was like, I don't know if I can make it through this movie. Because the secondhand cringe is so strong. But I'm really glad I did.
Ugh.
So bad.
Yeah, it's really
And
rough.
that's like, that moment sets off something for May, which basically boils down to just like having really high peaks of emotion, whether they're good or bad.
Hmm.
And this triggers her turning into a red panda, hence the title of the movie, Turning Red.
Hmm.
She doesn't know what's happening to her. She's totally wigged out by it when she wakes up and she's this panda. And we eventually find out that this is normal for their family because of their family history and the ancestors suddenly.
Hmm.
And they have to like perform this ritual to make the panda go away and basically encapsulate the strong emotions in a piece of jewelry so that they don't have to feel those strong emotions, which is really just a beautiful metaphor for how, as we age, we try to put a tamper on anything that is higher than baseline, right? Like
Hmm.
this idea that we have to present ourselves in a certain way that's palatable for other people. It's something that is hard to unlearn.
Yeah.
And but man, we also like get the impression that this is abnormal to happen to someone so young in their family. Like it didn't happen to her mom until she like knew her dad. Like when they were dating, about to get married. So, which is just interesting. But
They did also have. It's like the first time I'd ever seen it acknowledged, I think, in a Disney movie that I can remember. Like when the mom, when
oh,
so May freaks out. She's a panda. She wakes up and she's a red panda, and she's freaking out, like rampaging through her room, and eventually makes it into the bathroom. And the mom hears her freaking out in the bathroom and immediately assumes that it was her first period. And
which would have been
and
more age appropriate.
right, right.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm just a big red monster. And she's like, we'll get through this together, May, don't worry. I have
Yeah.
all these
And the
different types
dad
of
is like,
pads for
what do
you.
I do?
Yeah. I have all these different types of pads for you and blah, 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 blah. All this stuff. Oh, it's totally normal. Don't worry. The first one's really bad, but it'll get better, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, typical
It
mom
was really
stuff,
cute.
I would assume.
Yeah.
But right, like I would know, but I would assume that's typical. But it was nice to see. It was like, see, the mom isn't perfect. She has a lot of flaws, but she has moments of being like a genuinely good mom, and that was really one of them. Like trying
Yeah.
to
Well, and
coach her
she
kid through that first experience, even though it's not what
absolutely.
it was. But
Right. She does genuinely care about her daughter. And
oh yeah,
the choices she makes and the reaction she has aren't necessarily the best, but she does have the best of intentions. It just has a funny way of coming out.
yeah. This is not like a wicked stepmother situation. There's genuine love and
No.
affection.
Oh, yes. Yes. And
But
the dad is very quiet, but he is very sweet and tries to be as like encouraging and helpful as he can be. But I think he's also feeling very out of his depth because we're dealing with like a lot of emotions, and the conflict is really between May and her mother. So he's
but
kind of on the outside as an observer, which I feel like when I was going through puberty and mom and I would get into it, dad was kind of the same, where he was like, well, just
yeah,
gonna
the
wait for
dad
this
kind of
to kind
becomes
of.
the mediator figure.
Yes, but you have to wait for the right moment, which her dad
Right,
does as well.
right,
So
right. But yeah, that happens. She eventually figures out how to kind of get a handle on things and discovers that when because her friends show up, like outside her window or hold
because she's
on.
not going to school. Yeah, they do. They show up outside her window at her house because they're worried about her.
I think that's after she like turns into a panda at school though and runs out
Oh,
and rampages through the town because that's when her mom finds out what's
yes.
happening.
Yes.
Oh, right, right,
Yes.
right. So, okay, this moves on to the next big red flag that the mom does, which is honestly like this is when she starts to cross the line into like borderline criminal, but like if not like legally dubious. Because May goes to school, she figures out she just needs to calm down and not be emotional, and the red panda won't come out. But also her hair is red now, like her head hair is just all red, and so she has to wear a hat.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to school wearing a stocking cap, and I mean it's Toronto, it's probably cold, so who cares? Doesn't raise any eyebrows.
Miriam is always wearing a hat too, so it's not like
Right. We were watching it, and I was like, man, we couldn't wear hats in school. How are these kids getting away with this?
no.
Which now that I look back on it, I wonder why that was even a thing, but whatever. Anyway, May goes to school. It's all fine. All her friends are cool. Although this Tyler kid was putting up posters about like the whole Devon debacle in the 7-Eleven, and it almost makes her
Mm-hmm.
turn into the panda again. She starts freaking out, but then she's like, "No, I am zen. I am calm." Goes to math class. Math class starts. It's all fine. normal school day, and then she sees her mom standing outside the school behind a tree with binoculars. And this security guard is like walking up to her and trying to get her to leave the premises because she's on school property looking through a classroom window with binoculars. She's lucky she didn't go to jail, dude. Like, what the heck? In what universe is that okay? And you can't say,
It's not.
also, you can't say, oh, that's unrealistic. That would never happen. Because apparently, well, Hope told me this. So this is secondhand. But she told me that that is actually a true story that happened to one of the producers on the movie. And that's why it's in the movie. Because it's like a real, like, childhood trauma thing that happened to them.
Oh my gosh.
So
That is
don't
terrifying.
nobody say that would never happen because, dude, some parents are crazy. You used to work in a school,
Well,
you know.
I do know, unfortunately. In Mama's defense, she thinks that Mei has left her pads in the car and she's worried about her.
Right,
Now,
but here's the thing. You know what the proper
response is to go to the office and say, hey,
Yes.
will you get this to my kid?
Yes. And then they would discreetly call her to the office and discreetly hand them off to her. And it wouldn't have been a big deal. But no, you had to go spy on her classroom with binoculars. What?
And make it a big deal. Yeah.
So,
Oh, man.
and that is when she explodes into a giant red panda, seeing her mom outside, and her mom starts causing a scene and yelling at the guard, like, May, tell them it's me, tell them I'm your mother, May, help me, May. And everyone in the classroom is like freaking out too, like, whoa, what's happening? Ah. And then she explodes, turns into a red panda, and rampages through the town until she gets back home. And that's how her parents discover that she is turning into a red panda now. And then we get the big backstory dump about, like, oh, this was an ancestral thing where our first ancestor suddenly turned into a red panda, and we have to, like, imprison the red panda spirit in some jewelry thing, like the whole spiel that you explained. That's when all that happens. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, it turns into a big metaphor of, like, bottling up your emotions, conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. And yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah. I mean, we also find out that this is a generational bit of trauma that's being passed down because we find out that mom's relationship with her mom is also super strained and painful for similar reasons of, like, striving for perfectionism and not living up to standards. And
that is when, like, there was a funny moment, and I think this is pretty telling too. You know, families are like this too, where the mom is like, I don't know where she gets this from. Why is she so afraid of me and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then the phone rings and the dad answers it. And he's like, oh, hey, it's your mom on the phone. And she just, this look of terror just hits her, and her eyes go wide as plates. And it's like, where'd she get it from? Come on now. You know where she gets it from. Don't know where she gets it from. Whatever.
Totally.
I will say though, there are critiques you can have with the movie. Everyone's different. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I think you can have really garbage takes, and I can have the opinion that your opinion is dumb. But one of the things about the movie that I will say is an honest critique is my suspension of disbelief was kind of broken with the whole giant red panda rampaging through the city until she gets home, and, like, no police get involved, no news stations get involved.
No, it was on the news still because that's how Grandma finds out about it down in Florida.
Oh, right.
It's on the news.
Right. Well, I'm okay, but here's the thing. There weren't any, like, man, I just feel like there wasn't as much of a reaction, like, from, like, city official people of, like, what the heck, there's a giant monster loose in the town. Like, bring in the National Guard.
Well,
it's Godzilla.
Okay.
And later on, too. Later on.
Yes.
it happens again with, I mean, we're talking spoilers here. This is out of order, but later on, the mom goes full Godzilla and like breaks her pendant thing breaks that holds the red panda in, and her red panda is the size of a building, and she goes to run
And
down
she
her
destroys.
an entire
Yeah.
like she destroys an entire event center where the Four Town concert's happening, because that's the whole plot of the movie, is saving up money to go to the Four Town concert. And it turns out the concert's the same night as the ritual to chain up the red panda spirit. It's a whole thing. But yeah, but it's like there's this giant red panda marching through town. Man, there would have been like choppers there with guns on them. Like man, this would have turned into a totally different movie. And those were the moments where I'm like, okay, that's not really, you kind of lost me there on that plot point, but I'm willing to look past it for the sake of enjoying the movie.
Right. Well, there's the whole other
Let's
thing of while she's trying to get money, she like turns into the panda all the time around her classmates and like takes pictures with them and like sells merch and all this stuff. And I'm like, you cannot tell me that no teacher would not have noticed these shenanigans and not intervened.
Yeah.
Because we would have.
And I mean, granted, it
but
was
it's okay.
2002. I feel like schools were a little more lax then. Which this was,
Yes,
oh my
but
gosh, Anna, this
still.
movie takes place 20 years ago. I hate that. I really hate that. 2002 was 20 years ago. That's really upsetting me right now.
I was 11 then. I'm younger than May.
Yeah. Although pretty close though. Like,
Pretty close.
so this was it relatable to you? This movie,
Yeah, in so many ways.
being the age you were at that time period. But
Yeah. I do just want to put a general disclaimer out that, like, I don't feel like our parents put undue pressure on me to be perfect. That was definitely self-imposed.
yeah.
And just because I also remember them saying, like, well, if you do your best, like, that's, like it didn't matter if that meant C's or A's to them, I don't think.
It was like, well, did you do your best? Yes. It's like,
Right.
well, then you have nothing to feel bad about because you did your best.
Right.
And if it was like, did you do your best? And it was like, no, I probably could have studied more. And it's like, okay, well then study more next time. Like,
Right. Yeah. But I am, and we both have this problem of being just like people pleasers. And that can manifest
people
itself into
pleasers.
like perfectionism.
Absolutely. We're both our worst critics. We're both incredibly hard on ourselves, and both have varying degrees of social anxiety. So, yeah, yeah, that's just a thing. But
I
think
wanted to say that
that
like I wasn't
the
finding this
movie-
relatable because my mom was like this mom. Mom would have never
oh my gosh, no,
done the things that this mom did.
absolutely not. No way.
Mom is like pretty stinking cool and
No
would
way,
not
no
have done
how.
that.
No, or dad. Neither one of them would ever have done anything like that.
Never.
Um,
No. Which I'm so thankful for.
no, they were both pretty chill. Yeah. Anyway, as far as the movie goes, though, let's talk about some of the reasons why it was so controversial. Because again, I don't want to go over the entire plot of the movie. Suffice it's pretty predictable, though. I found that okay, in like I knew even like as it was going, I was like, okay, she's gonna find a way to like keep the panda spirit, and she's gonna like learn to coexist with it. Like I knew that was going to happen, and it did.
Because that's breaking generational trauma, which is a big topic right now. So
Breaking the chain of trauma, and starting fresh. And her mom have a great moment. It's probably the most tear-jerking moment of the movie, where the mom says, if like, I'm so sorry for all the things that I did that like made you uncomfortable, or if you ever felt like a ton of pressure was put on you, like if you ever learned that from me, I'm so sorry, and all this stuff. And like they had a really good moment of connecting and understanding each other. Super cool. May keeps the panda spirit. happy ending. There we go.
Okay. Well, hold on. 2 things here.
Sure.
I just realized that Encanto is also like dealing with generational trauma, but from a Latinx perspective, which is really interesting. But also, and this is a white person observing Encanto, the ending of Encanto was confusing to me because there was a resolution, but I wasn't entirely sure why. Like I didn't like quite understand the connection that the characters made with each other, which I think is just me. Like I think that was a me issue. I should watch it again. But
which I have not seen Encanto, so don't spoil it for me.
Okay, no spoilers then. But with Turning Red, we did have that very clear moment where Mom was like, "Yeah, I messed up," but like, and May also realized that she had messed up. Like obviously, running away to a concert is like not ideal.
And lying about it.
Not the correct option. Yeah. Yes. There are lots of things that May did wrong.
Yeah. And there was a moment in there where the mom did the thing again where she pins all the blame on on her friend group and not on her. Like, my May would never do this. How could you have, like, you guys are such a bad influence on her. And May doesn't say anything and just lets them take it and throws them under the bus. And doesn't say like, no, Mom, this was all my idea to save money to go see the band. It was my idea to sell pictures of the red panda and like T-shirts and stuff. It was all me. Didn't say that. Let her friends take the fall for it. That was definitely wrong, and her friends let her know that she was wrong for that.
Yes, but then they also forgave her and helped her.
Yes, yes.
So,
I just want to point that out because I know that one of the criticisms. So talking about the controversy of the movie now, one of the criticisms is that the mom was what?
I had something else I was going to say, but that's okay. It can go in my criticism.
Oh, well, what is it?
So go ahead.
Oh,
well,
okay.
So after like the big climax of them having to like help the mom get her red panda under control, the grandma and her sisters and the aunties also unleashed their red pandas, right?
That was like one of my favorite moments.
No, it's really cool. But then here's my like little issue. They've all watched Mei like learn how to embrace the red panda, and like they've seen what good she can do with it, sort of, or they at least are willing to let her like continue in this path, right? And then they're all given the opportunity to either keep their pandas or give them up, and they all give them up again. And they go back to that, like, we don't have to, like, feel those big emotions anymore. Even though the dad, like, tells Mei and his wife that, like, one of the things that, like, really made him love his wife is that her red panda came out and, like, defended him to her mom. Like, that was a positive thing for him, even though it resulted in a, like, very negative, like, fracturing of the mother-daughter relationship. Anyway, I was just sad that they all gave their pandas back up again, except for Mei.
Yeah, no, that's valid. And I thought of that afterwards, too. I was like, really? All of you gave the panda up again? Like, all of you? I was hoping at least at least Mei and her mom would keep it, so then they could kind of learn together how to deal with their emotions in a healthy way.
Right. Right. But they all like called upon the panda in a moment of crisis and need. Like they recognized that it was something that they needed.
Yeah.
And they still gave it up again.
Part of me almost thought it was going to end up being like an Avengers Infinity War moment where like Bruce Banner is trying to call the Hulk out and the Hulk won't come out. Because Hulk feels like he's taken advantage of all the time, and like, you only want Hulk when there's stuff to smash. It's like, it'd be funny if that was like with the red pandas too, where the red pandas are like, no, you don't get to just call us whenever you want. That's stupid. Right. But no, seeing all of the ants and the grandma summon their red pandas by like smashing their jewelry and like these just absurd like Power Ranger poses was so good. Yes. It was so funny. It is just really... It is weird, though, that they all gave their pandas up at the end again, except for Mei. Yeah. But No, that's a valid critique.
Anyway,
The things that I wanted to talk about were the critiques that I don't think are valid, and that is like some of the where some of the controversy has stemmed. And one of them is Mei Mei is portrayed as like she's never told that what she did was wrong and like there's no consequences for her actions. She still went to the concert. Everything worked out for her. There was like nothing, like there's no consequences.
everything worked out for her.
Like she never
No, I know. I just am like
she never
so...
yeah, and like she never apologized and all this stuff. And I'm just like that's incorrect. We were not watching the same movie. She clearly was. She knew that she didn't do right by her friends when she didn't step up to bat for them and take the blame for all the stuff that she did that she knew was wrong. She knew lying to her mom was wrong. Like all this stuff. So that to me is not valid. Also, people that don't like the way that the mom was portrayed because they're like, oh, the mom was like the bad guy. I don't like that. I think that the kid just needs to be quiet and do what they're told. And this movie is like encouraging kids to rebel against their parents. And I'm just like, guys, I think that is way more healthy. Like seeing a mom admit that she was wrong and apologize for it because, someday if and when Hope and I have a little girl, and we're trying to be good parents, it would be so exhausting to be so focused on being perfect and right all the time and never admitting that you're wrong to your kid because nobody's perfect.
Right.
So I thought that was really healthy actually and refreshing to see that kind of relationship. But a lot of people did not like it, and I'm gonna go on the record and say that maybe if you didn't like it for that reason, maybe there needs to be some self-reflection, and maybe you're kind of projecting because maybe you're a little similar to how the mom acted in the movie, and you need to take a look in that mirror and evaluate some things and try to make some healthy changes in your parenting style. I mean, again, I'm not a parent and I'm not a parenting expert. I'm not going to tell you how to raise your kid, but if that's one of your honest critiques of the movie, I think that maybe just evaluate your life. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. Absolutely. One of the critiques that I saw was from a white man claiming that this movie didn't need to be made because it wasn't relatable and he didn't understand it. And to that white man, I just want to say that this movie wasn't made for you.
Why?
And there are more people than just you in the world.
So, did he have the same critique of A Bug's Life? That movie's clearly made for ants to enjoy, and only ants.
Oh, there's some Toy Story.
And Lion King. They only screen Lion King in zoos for the animals. Like that's not for us to enjoy. Mm-hmm. What is wrong with people?
I know. It's just wild. It's just wild.
No, it's racism. It's legitimate racism.
Yes. It's racism and sexism. Like it's both of them tied up in a dumb little bow.
Dumb little bow. Yeah, it's astounding. So yeah, the movie is controversial.
But for dumb reasons. You should watch it.
You should watch it. You should
and make
definitely
your own
watch
opinion.
It.
Don't just go off of what you saw on Facebook from your aunt's friend. Like watch it yourself, make your own opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot more good in it than bad, in my opinion.
Yeah. And again, people were also taking shots at May's behavior and how she was like boy crazy and
but she wasn't though. Like it started out with her being like I don't really get why you see that in him. Like, I don't really understand this. And
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
literally going through puberty.
yeah. It's a coming of
That's
age story.
confusing. It totally is, and it's confusing
Yeah.
for kids. So,
And they didn't like that somewhere I saw someone like, oh, they used the C word and that was crap. They said crap in the movie.
they did. I
Yeah,
didn't even notice.
somewhere. At least I think that was a. See, I might be blending things that I saw that were legitimate critiques and things that were people making fun of people making critiques and like pretending to be them and saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there
It's
was
possible it was in there. That's not a word that like hits my radar as like a bad word, but I
no,
know
me
like
neither.
for little kids it is.
Yeah,
But I would say that this is middle schoolers. So like
yeah,
that's I wouldn't consider that a bad word for middle schoolers
no,
personally.
no. And there's a moment where May is trying to distract her mom when she used to giant Godzilla panda, and like she's like swinging her big red panda butt around,
Yes,
like
she
I'm
is.
13, mom. Like I'm 13. Deal with it. And like I know parents didn't like that because again, like, uh, oh, it's glorifying rebelling against your parents and like just like guys, you are trying so hard to dislike this movie.
Technically, she was obeying one of her parents because her dad told her to get her mom into the circle and to keep her there.
And
So,
her grandma said to distract her too while they were doing
yes.
the ritual thing.
So, I mean,
Yeah, and some parents probably also didn't like it because of like the Chinese like mysticism and like the shaman like ritual thing to chain the red panda
well,
spirit. But
okay. Then you
those are the
can't
same.
then you
Those are the
can't
same.
watch The Little Mermaid or
I know. Yeah,
Aladdin
those are the
or
same parents that would take issue with most Disney movies, right? So
right.
at least they're consistent though with that critique, and it's not just a stupid
Yes.
like, oh, this movie is so unrelatable to me as a 28-year-old white man. Well, yeah, it's not
I
for
mean,
you.
I'm yeah. I mean, that yeah, I guess there is no Disney movie that would pass the like mysticism critique. They all
Yeah,
have
there's not a
some
lot.
form of magic in them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. Except for Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. There's no magic. It's all science. It's the power of science.
I was going to make the argument for Lion King because technically there is no magic in that. They're just talking animals. But
Some of those bugs look pretty magically delicious.
and nutritious.
Slimy yet satisfying.
Oh man.
Oh, but that one had Circle of Life stuff,
Yeah, nobody
which
ever dies.
also controversial. Uh, anyway, that's a whole other thing. We're not going to go there today. But yeah, like I did have some critiques of the movie,
Yeah.
but it was all
Well,
like
so did I.
technical, like storytelling things. But none of them were like some of the things we've been seeing where people don't like it for just the most just boneheaded. Like, yeah. So anyway, like you
No
said,
offense, but a little offense.
oh
Like,
no, offense intended. Like honestly, if that's your honest take of the movie, I do not really want to affiliate with you.
I mean, so with any movie, if you are concerned about like your kid's consumption of it, watch it first and see
Yeah.
it for yourself. Would be my advice, and see if it's something that you think they can handle. But don't like just take it on the word of random things you see on Facebook or whatever, or Twitter or whatever
Yeah.
social media you're following.
And
So
like and us for that matter, like this is just
yeah,
two nerds opinions and we're not perfect either. So,
no, definitely not.
but I
Definitely not.
enjoyed the movie. Didn't make me cry, although part of it could have potentially had I been alone in the room. But I think I was I don't know. I don't know why I'd be worried about Hope being there. I think because part of it is like it's like a contest because I know that she cried. So it's like, oh, when's it going to happen? When's the tear jerking moment going to happen? And then it's like a contest with myself to see if I can overcome it. So I think that's partially what was happening. Had I been just watching it by myself, and had like no context to the movie whatsoever, I potentially could have cried. But
Oh man, that means Hope has watched it 3 times within like 5 days.
yes, she has.
That's a lot.
She has. But she likes it a lot, so it's fine.
It is really, it's very fun.
And the movie really made me want to eat some dumplings. Because like...
Yes, because the dad cooks.
Watching like the cooking montage that the dad did was really fun also.
So good.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Animated food,
Also,
man.
I just want to shout out, the dad was so stinking sweet. And I just loved him.
Yeah.
Because when she first like turns red, he doesn't really say anything, and then he goes to like shut the door, and he goes, "Hey, red is a lucky color."
Yeah.
And her hair is red, and she's like, I don't think she gets like what he meant in that moment, but it was so sweet. And then he finds her like dumb video she made with her friends, and they're having a great time, and she's the panda, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, did you make this? Like this is an amazing part of you." Like,
it made me laugh.
think about it before you give it up. Yeah.
And she was so embarrassed about like one of her parents seeing like the goofy, funny side of her. It's like, oh.
Yeah. No, Dad loves it. He's like, yeah, I want like this version of my kid.
Yeah.
It's really sweet.
It's like, man, I could not imagine not being willing to like let my goofy, weird side out around my parents.
Oh man, we'd be so boring.
Yeah. No, they just had to deal with that. That was never a problem. But anyway.
Yeah.
Because they were goofy and fun with us too. You know.
Very true. Yes. Oh yeah. Lots of laughter.
Yeah. Yeah, very good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. You know what we should do sometime? Maybe this can be like a little teaser for a future podcast. You know how we ranked the Studio Ghibli movies? We could rank Pixar movies.
Ooh, and we could do Disney princess movies. We could split it up into categories.
That'd be its own list. Yeah, like we could do Disney, Pixar, and then we could...
Because you can't combine Disney and Pixar because that's too much.
That's too many movies.
Yes. But I like the Pixar idea a lot.
I like the idea, though.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Yeah. I like it.
Cool.
It's going to happen.
Probably not the next episode. We should put a little space between them. But...
Yeah. We can do that.
I like it.
We did decide what the next one's going to be, though, right?
We did. So the next podcast episode topic is going to be, we predict Kenobi, because the new Kenobi show is coming out. But we also decided on what our bonus content for the Patreon is going to be this month. We're doing a special deep dive into extended universe Star Wars land, which I personally am very excited about. So if you want to hear like the real unleashed Star Wars nerdiness, you should head over to our Patreon and become a patron. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
love it. I'm excited about both those. Excited to talk more.
Me too. Lots of Star Wars.
Love it. I'm so excited for Kenobi. I'm here for it. It's not more Tatooine, but I'll grin and bear it.
Let's save it for next week.
Yep. Okay.
The next episode.
Okay. So, Turning Red, loved it. Loved the movie. Red pandas are cute.
Recommend.
Go look up some Red Panda YouTube videos. And until next time, go read something cool.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
Bye.